Hey everyone, Derek here with a quick news update on Impa being in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. She's in the trailer, though you might not have spotted her, and I'm actually joined by Triss of Source Gaming to talk about it, as she not only makes one appearance, but two. And we never actually see her face, it's always from behind, but based on the hairstyle, the hair color, it's pretty obviously Impa, and you had the same idea as soon as you saw her, right Triss?
Yep, as soon as she appeared, I realized it was her.
And it's going to be interesting because we have not seen young Impa. This is a completely new model that we're getting that I'm going to suppose is probably based pretty heavily on Paya.
Yeah, I would imagine it's pretty similar to her. I think Paya's her daughter, granddaughter?
Granddaughter, I believe.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting too. As you mentioned, both times we don't really get to see her face, but it's definitely fascinating to see that she's here, so we're definitely greeted with more characters than just, Link, Zelda, and the champions.
Mm-hmm. It does have the possibility of adding more playable characters or more story-based characters, because obviously we see the king, but I highly doubt he's going to be playable unless it's in an extra mode with that, here, let's be silly, kind of like the King of Red Lions in Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition.
Right.
So it's a big question whether or not this Impa will be playable because, well, she was one of my favorite characters to play as in the original Hyrule Warriors. But here, it seems much more likely that she's a bit more proactive.
Right. Well, I mean, the very first scene we see her in is actually the one that we mentioned is really quick and easy to miss, which is when the three of them, as in Impa, Zelda, and Link, are escaping Hyrule Castle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right after the Calamity hits.
Yes, it's very obvious that the Calamity is hitting right now. It's the red mist is forming up, and both Link and Zelda are in their outfits that they're in when Calamity hits and Link gets knocked out for 100 years and has to be put in the
right.
Shrine of a Resurrection. Like, this is very clearly, very likely at the end of the game when they're making that last escape and they're trying to get away, because this is the kind of known stuff. The funny thing is, what happens at the end is probably the most well-known thing about this entire game. It's kind of strange like that. But to see Impa here is kind of important because her and Purah are the ones that put Link in the Shrine of Resurrection per Zelda's orders once she awakens to her power. So it is very much canon that she's there, and I do wonder if we'll see Purah there as well.
I think we could at some point. I mean, they mentioned this is going to be pretty cutscene heavy too. Like this seems to be like the canon events of what happened during this time. So I imagine we'll see pretty much up to the moment when Link is actually put in, though at the end of the game. But
yeah, it seems like that's sort of the lead up, and they need to have her there in order to have those pieces fall into place. And it makes sense, honestly, to have her there when the Calamity's happening. The more curious one is a little later on, and the one that most people probably spotted, is when Link, Zelda, and Impa are in front of the king. And it makes me wonder what her role is there. Is she still an attendant to Zelda? Is she attendant to the king? Is she a guide to Link? Is she the one saying, hey, go to these places in order to recruit the champions? I don't know.
So I think what's important here is, and as we see through a lot of the trailer, Link is just a knight at this point. He's not the champion yet. He doesn't have that tunic yet. He's just a knight. And I assume this probably is before we have the champions properly formed. Impa is normally just Zelda's attendant. So, well, I don't want to say just, but she normally is Zelda's attendant, so I assume this is her kind of being around Zelda most of the time to help and defend her before Link becoming the champion becomes like her royal guard and the champion's constantly with her.
That makes a lot of sense, and I think you're right, because there is plenty of evidence within this that you'll meet the champions before they're the champions. I think a big portion of this game is actually going to be recruiting them, which we'll have a lot more to talk about when it comes to the analysis. There's plenty of evidence here. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies to spot with this trailer if you know your Breath of the Wild lore, and it's exciting in that way. It's curious to see how they're going to make this all work, but this has to be Impa because that hat totally matches her. Maybe not as big as what she has in the final game, but certainly the same style as Sheikah.
Well, she's smaller when she's older, so.
That is true too. That is also true. But yeah, it's pretty exciting to have Impa in there. They might do an extra thing, an extra scenario where extra characters are playable, but it's just not canon. It's like, okay, here's the canon stuff. Here's what actually happened. But here's some fun scenarios that you can have more fun with and make the game a little bit longer. Because usually there's a ton of content in a Warriors game.
Yeah, it's really packed full of content for the most part, but it makes me wonder if this is going to be more like what we saw with Hyrule Warriors, where it just had a ton of side content outside of the story, or more like Persona 5 Scramble, where it's more so a sequel game or a canon story-based game with no side content that's mainly just the gameplay of the Warriors.
Mm-hmm. That is also possible, especially if the game is more open world than most Warriors games are. Where they go level to level. So it's kind of cool that we're getting more information come September 26th, because this trailer is exciting, but it's also mainly story. We don't have much of an idea when it comes to the gameplay, and that's something that we'll be taking a closer look at. But for now, I think it's just cool that we have Impa in here.
Mm-hmm. It gives us that little tease towards potentially something even bigger with more characters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But any other final thoughts on Impa being in Age of Calamity?
I think it's interesting that she's not in the... I guess the best way to put it is like the Sheikah ninja outfit that you can get.
Oh, right.
She's in like the village outfit. And we know that both were kind of worn by different members of the Sheikah. We see from like the different memories in the original Breath of the Wild that they were all working on the Guardians together. So some of them were like in the village outfit or like the cultural outfit, and some were in like the ninja outfit. And the fact that Impa is in, I guess, more this casual cultural outfit, it makes me wonder if she won't play, if she is playable, if she won't play similar to what we've seen her as before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very possible because she's in that villager outfit that she doesn't have that role. But Link changes clothes as well, and everybody changes clothes. So it's very possible that we'll later see her in a more traditional action getup. But then we also have the escape where she's still in the same outfit. So unless she was caught off guard or something, which is entirely possible, it seems like that could be an indication that she is not playable, at least not in the main game. But for now, what do all of you think about Impa being in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity? Do you think she's going to be playable? Do you think she has another role to play? Or is she just there set dressing? Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to Game Explained for more on Zelda. And if you want even more Zelda content, you can check out Source Gaming. There's all kinds of content out there for you to check out. But thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye!